Patriot. I am Libby Patriot.
And hello, everyone. I am Burning Spear Patriot. Thank you guys for joining us again.
Tonight we're going to be talking about small businesses and how that is one of the primary principles of One Patriot and one of the areas that we're really going to be focusing on in our efforts. The effects that abusive corporations are having on small businesses, on the country, and then talking a little bit about the shifts that we've made in our personal lives to support our beliefs and kind of dive in that direction of where we want to be living our lives.
This is definitely one of the pillars of our organization. Definitely supporting small businesses, supporting the little guy, supporting the little man who is constantly fighting against the big corporations that are fighting against not only the corporations, but they're fighting against corrupt politicians that are funded by these big corporations. We have to do our part. I am definitely guilty of participating in supporting these big corporations, like I know a lot of people are. I recently purchased an entire computer set from Amazon. A computer set with speakers, webcam, a table, a computer table, computer chair, the whole nine. I recently purchased from Amazon, and that just goes to show you how hard it is to bite the bullet and say, hey, I want to do my part and support the local business, support the local man, or the local woman who has their business or their corner store, the ma and pa store, as opposed to being taking the convenient option and going to Amazon or going to Walmart or going to, one of these large corporations. So it's a challenge that I go through every day, and I'm still improving. I'm still trying to get better, and I just take it day by day. But I just wanted to be transparent and get that out there, because we do have our hiccups. We do,
we're still learning. We're still growing.
Yeah.
And we have faced challenges too, which we'll get into a little bit later down in the podcast. But I'm guilty as well. As a consumer, places like Amazon are highly convenient, especially for a mom.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have to take my kids to the store.
Yeah.
But I think the really important thing to consider, and this is what I try to keep in mind, is the actual cost. What is the actual cost? It's not the dollar amount for myself, but what is it costing? Even financially in the long run, what is it costing me? What is it costing the community? And kind of take those, which again, we'll dive into a little bit later. But
yeah, you've been talking about supporting local businesses for the longest, and you've also implemented it into your life very, very well. You're telling me you were just at the farmer's market, and you were supporting a lot of these local businesses and small businesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, are businesses that support our values.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was one of the main things about One Patriot. We want to support the businesses that do support our values, do have our same belief system. Mm-hmm. So that's really good, and I wanted to commend you and give you credit for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's where we are located, it's not the easiest avenue. Yeah. There's not an overabundance of farmers markets. Yeah. But
our local ma and pa grocery stores.
Yeah, exactly. It is a challenge, but I think that gives us benefit in a lot of ways, because I think that speaks a lot to if we find it challenging to do here, but are able to do it, then almost anybody can do it.
Yes.
So, but definitely I really appreciate you bringing up the values part, because that is a key component. Like, you know, supporting small local business in general, but absolutely finding those businesses that support your values in order to build a community that supports your values.
Yes.
What's the biggest, what's the strongest vote is voting with your dollar, right?
Power in the dollar.
Power in the dollar. Yeah. So,
channel your bucks into things that you support.
Exactly. And it will circle back to you.
Yeah.
Yes. So jumping back, I do want to touch on Amazon a little bit today, and just kind of use them as an exemplary, not exemplary and positive, but basically example of why we don't want to support these big abusive corporations anymore. One, yes, they are convenient.
Absolutely.
But Amazon specifically is they're redefining consumption in a way that we've never seen before. They're creating a need for things and then fulfilling that need. Do I really need a jumbo pack of 48 vintage earrings for $10? No, I do not. But because I saw it, I want it. That was one I saw recently. I was just like, oh, those are so cute.
And
like,
you got them?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I held back.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
get them because I was like, this is overconsumption. I do not need that. So they're redefining consumption and creating overconsumption because it's this immediate, like, ooh, I want that. I need that. I'm ordering that. It's not, it's very, what's that Ariana Grande song? I see it. I like it. I want it. I bought it. I don't know if that's how it really goes.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what Amazon's like, right?
Yeah.
It's
they offer convenience, and
they cater.
They cater to people's needs and wants, mainly wants too. You know.
Yeah.
They'll have like, oh wow, I've been needing this. I want this. I'm going to go on Amazon. Amazon is for sure going to have it. So they offer that option that is so easy to just go, click a button, and it's there at your doorstep in like 2 days, tops.
And this is one of those things that when I talk about like the actual financial cost of businesses like this, people are spending so much more because it's so convenient, right? And that seems very basic, but I think a lot of people forget that, and they're like, oh, this is so cheap. I can consume, I can buy so much of this stuff that they end up spending just as much on a ton of junk that they don't actually need, rather than pulling back, buying quality, recirculating those dollars and all the other things we already discussed. It's an increased cost when you actually think about it. I don't know anybody that's ended up spending less throughout the year at Amazon.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it's like, oh, I can get this $2 cheaper on Amazon and I don't have to go to the store.
Yeah.
But then they're spending that $2 plus some change on other junk from Amazon.
Yeah.
So it ends up actually just costing you more for stuff that fills up your house.
Yeah. In the long run, it's going to cost more.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It could. You probably would have to pay a little bit more, you know, let's say at your local business. But just keep in mind that these local businesses, the ones, especially the ones that support your value, I think it's worth it, because the ones that support your values and your belief system, I think is worth it. Paying that extra, going, getting up just getting up and going outside and getting in your car and going to that local business to support the little guy is an effort that it's like a movement. It's an effort that we need to put forward, because like we said before, what Amazon is offering is convenience.
Exactly.
So,
but I think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's an important point that one of the things that we're missing as a society, as companies like Amazon start taking over and dominating, is we're missing that human interaction.
Absolutely. What was to go off of that? Like, remember when our mother and our father and our grandfather and our grandmother, everybody knew the local butcherman.
Yep.
Everybody knew the local milkman.
Yep.
Everybody knew the ma and pa restaurants that were in the neighborhoods or that were in the communities. And now we have DoorDash and Uber Eats that are just like taking over everything. And they still support the businesses at the end of the day. But these local businesses, it's not like they're pushing them to the forefront. It's not like they're pushing the local businesses to the forefront. Like they're pushing like the chains to the forefront, like the McDonald's and the Burger Kings, the fast food, and it's just a whole, like, it's like they got together in a room, kind of like how we're doing, but it's like they got together in a room and just started like how can we like just crush the little man.
Well, because a lot of these restaurants, people don't realize that a lot of these restaurants take a cut. Like they don't make a ton of money off of it. Like, they do not make as much as you going in. Like tips excluded. Not even talking about the servers. Because there's so many fees through Uber Eats and DoorDash that it's really hard to make a good profit. But they have to participate to stay competitive.
Exactly. Because if their restaurant or their business is not on Uber Eats, somebody's gonna take over their spot, and people are just gonna go to that person or that business
because they're choosing convenience.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's just time we gotta stop being lazy, fight the bullet, and if we are really gonna be a part of this movement, we have to do our part. That's the most important part. It's like being on a diet almost. It's like, do I want this quick hamburger, or am I going to meal prep for the whole week? And have a healthier option. It's convenient to just drive through and just order a hamburger, order a cheeseburger, whatever. But when you have the meal prep, the preparation, the time that you took out of the day to prep each meal, in the long run, it's actually, more convenient to have your meal prep, and it'll be healthier for you at the end of the day.
More cost effective.
Yes.
And I think another point there too, like with the diet analogy, I love that, is I don't think we're necessarily saying you can't have your treats, right? Once a month order,
Absolutely. It's not about just stopping abruptly. Like, definitely wean yourself off of like the easy option. Like, if you got something that it's just hard to find, like I cannot find a store that sells this. I cannot find a local business that sells this. X, product.
Right.
It's not to say that you can't use Amazon. Yeah, definitely. If that is the option that you see fit as your last option, at the end of the day, I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but you definitely try. If you believe in this movement, or if you believe in these principles of the movement, try to do your best to support the little man. But at the end of the day, if you cannot do that and it's not an option, by all means, if it really needs to get purchased, definitely go ahead, use Amazon if you need to. But I feel like that should be the last option, especially for people of our belief system, especially for people who are trying to help the little man. So
yeah, I definitely think that it's not, I think the key goal is to make it so that it's not commonplace, right? It's not your go-to. It's okay, this is an outlier. And one way that I've been trying to think about it, in my budgeting even, I'll be like, okay, I'm trying to spend for groceries, for example. I try to make it like, realistically, I'm not going to be able to spend 100% of my food budget at, farmers market, local. Right. There are just some things that I can't get there. Yeah. So then I'll spend that remaining, 70 to 80% I try to allocate towards farmers markets, local shops. And then the rest, I'll go to Costco or Safeway and spend that last 20 to 30%. Yes. And I think even that in itself makes a huge impact for myself, but also for these small business owners. That's a huge amount of income for them, a revenue for them, I should say. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's key.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Totally agree.
And yeah, kind of touching on the brick and mortar, the physical stores. I think it's important to touch on that, the impact that it's having on number of employees, for example. Yes. So one of the common pro Amazon arguments that I hear very often is, oh, well, Amazon is creating so many jobs, right? Yeah. They're creating thousands and thousands of jobs. And it's like, at face value, yeah, sure, that is true. They are. But let's dive a little bit deeper. When you look at brick and mortar stores, for every, I believe, $10 million in revenue, they have 47 employees, roughly. And those employees are all varying levels of just different jobs. So you have like entry level, so the youth that are learning, coming into the job market, learning valuable job skills. You have your managers, the whole spectrum. But then when you look at Amazon, it's for every 10 million in revenue, I believe it's 14 employees that they have. Oh wow. So
stark difference.
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't do math. What is that, like 34? Yeah. So that's 34 less employees, right? That Amazon is hiring. And not only that, the level of worker that they're hiring pickers, which are the people that go out or are in the warehouse pulling items to ship. And then they have delivery drivers, who they've historically screwed over in the past. We'll save that for another dive. But so they're actually, in the long run, people want to talk about jobs going overseas and China taking away jobs. Amazon is actually taking away more jobs than China when you look at the grand scheme of things. Yeah. And then not only that, so they're creating less jobs, and taking away, I'm going to go there. So they're creating less jobs, and these jobs that they are creating are about to be replaced with robots. Like, oh, wow. Like robotic systems for picking, they're just going to have automated systems. So all those jobs are going to be decimated. Yeah. Eventually they're going to be having drones, and people think this is like so far off in the future. This is sci-fi we're talking about. And it's like, no, this is here. Like even self-driving cars, like self-driving trucks, those are already in production. It's not that far off down the line. So,
yeah, I mean, I just saw a video just now, talking about, well, it was a video with this guy. He was having like the podcast, and he was trying to get this woman on the phone, and he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this video or this podcast while you're driving?" She's like, "No, it's okay. I have a self-driving car." And I'm like, "What? Those are already out." Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to touch on some of your points, the fact that they are going to start bringing in robots when they already only have for every $10 million, it's 14 employees. That's number is going to go down drastically once they get the robots in, or once they get these drones in to do the work that the pickers are doing or the work that the drivers are doing. They're not going to even need any live human. So that money is going to go straight into the pockets of the big executives, the big CEOs. And yes, we believe in free market. Yes, we are capitalists. But what is that going to do to your everyday average guy that has a business? It's going to drive that person out.
Yeah. Because go ahead.
And I think you're going to touch on it later on, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but the thing where the minimum wage, we can talk about that later if you want.
Oh yeah.
But
that's huge.
Yes, that's very huge, and it plays a big factor because they are playing the long game.
Yep.
And we'll touch on that later. But yeah, it's just crazy. They know what they're doing, guys. These are smart people. They have played the long game. Not the short-term game, the long game, the long-term game. And it's like building a team. When you build a team, you might take some losses so you can get the higher draft pick in the next draft, the next NFL draft, or the next NBA draft, or whatever draft, professional sports. Some teams take the loss during the year so that they can plan for the future. And this is no different with Amazon.
Nope.
This is no different with any other large corporation. They'll take their losses, but because they can have that money that is continually circulating in, they're going to eventually be able to drive out their competitors. So this is all planned.
Yep.
This is all planned.
100%.
Yeah.
And you talking about like circulating, I think it's an important point to touch on too. A couple different points there actually. Going back to the brick and mortar. So brick and mortar stores, typically for every $100 spent in a brick and mortar store, $45 recirculates back into the community, right? So you're not getting that. There is like almost zero recirculation back in communities.
Wow. Yeah.
Like there's nothing there. Not only that, but they are because there's no physical locations, so no local circulation, no physical store locations, which means no jobs there, but that also means that they don't have to pay taxes. And so that's one of their major tax evasion points, which is another way they can keep money in their own corporation.
It's one of those loopholes that they take advantage of.
Definitely. And that is starting to be weeded out a little bit. Policy is changing a little bit there, but they've definitely abused that for quite a long time. And then we can even talk about like the poor working conditions of those places that they do these jobs that they are creating, right? They're not quality jobs. These are not positive work environment.
Yeah, I mean, you were telling me about this earlier, and I'm just like, what? Like, I had no clue. I didn't know, but obviously you've done the research and you know about this. You're more knowledgeable about this. But when some of the things you were telling me, I was just like, no way, that's crazy.
So for I have a few friends that have worked in Amazon warehouses, so call it anecdotal if you will, but I don't think it is because it's consistently reported.
Yeah, I've heard people complain about work conditions, but the things that you were specifically telling me was like,
so like off the one of the things, for example, is workers wearing diapers.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
How is that humane on any level? That's so, and not that they're requiring.
Yeah.
They're not requiring these workers to wear diapers, but it's like when you're getting reprimanded for taking bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
When your work quota is so high because you're trying to compete against machines and the clock and profit, and it's like, what choice do you feel like you have other than like if you have a medical issue, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't perform, they're going to eventually fire you, and they'll probably be replacing you with another worker.
Yep.
In the future, it's going to be robots, like you said. So it's so depressing. It's so depressing. Like you got to feel for those employees.
Yeah. Then I guess that actually kind of ties in well to the $15 an hour minimum wage that we were going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So Amazon is like getting, well, so there were people like Bernie Sanders who've been like against Amazon, like calling them out.
Yeah.
And which, you know, props to Bernie for doing. But now Amazon is suddenly like, yay, $15 an hour, 100%. We support this. And it's not altruistic in any manner, any shape or form.
Yeah.
This is 100% part of their long con.
They're very malicious in their motives.
Very, very sneaky.
Yes, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because, come on, I mean, anybody who it's easy to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, it's the fact that these corporations like Amazon, for example, Walmart, the corporations that can afford or at least be able to bite the bullet for a little while to pay their employees the $15 an hour, what that does is it drives out the small business. Even
with Amazon, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but even with Walmart, like that's really hard for Walmart to compete with the $15 an hour. I mean, they can do it and be better off than a small local mom and pop, but it even affects them because they have these brick and mortar stores where they're having to hire more employees.
Yeah.
So it is harder for them to stick with this $15 an hour wage. So it, you know,
makes sense.
Also takes care of that competitor.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like Amazon's the only one who can, you know, weather the storm because they have the real estate and the foundation to weather that whole storm. And this is effectively how they are be able to come. I don't want to say monopoly.
No.
Yeah.
They're not a monopoly.
Yeah, but they found ways on how to be the number one product creator, the number one product distributor.
Monopsony.
Monopsony.
Yeah.
Monopsony. Yes.
Monopsony.
Yeah, I don't know if you can delve into that a little bit.
I'll touch on it a little bit. This is a newer term for me that, you know, I'm still learning about, but basically it's like, oh, everybody is saying like, oh, Amazon's a monopoly. But a monopoly is when you take total control of a sale, but a monopsony is when you take total control of a product or total control of a purchase of a product or a sale.
Yeah.
And so what they're doing is all these independent retailers that have significant barriers to entry to get into places like Walmart or Costco or Target because they don't have the minimum product to get in amongst a wide variety of others. Amazon provides an easier barrier to entry there.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a good thing at a surface level. But what it's going to do is going to drive more people to Amazon because there's no more variety, more options. There's convenience factor, which is shutting down all these other businesses, right? All these brick and mortar locations, small mom and pops, Walmart, all of them included. So now all these are shut down in the future, right?
Yeah.
All these, they can't compete. What Amazon has already been doing is taking these products and recreating them for an even lower price.
Yeah.
So driving out these small businesses.
It's like they're a mini China.
Yeah, basically.
That's what it sounds like.
Basically.
Taking these, it sounds like mini China.
So it sounds like a great opportunity for people to sell stuff, which eventually I guess they do turn into a monopoly, but currently a monopsony. So they're taking advantage of all these smaller businesses that are, this is widely documented.
Yeah.
Stealing their designs, selling them for cheaper, and then they can't compete, or super fining them.
That is literally China.
So it's driving out these businesses, and then also at the same time, tying back to the $15 an hour minimum wage, all these employees, right, that they're paying this $15 minimum wage, they've shut down all these major retailers because they can't compete with minimum wage requirements. They can't compete with the products. And then Amazon's going to turn around and fire all these employees because they don't need them anymore.
They don't need them anymore.
They don't need them, and they don't need the businesses that supported them and helped drive out these other businesses.
Sick.
It is
Disgusting.
sick. It is disgusting.
Yes.
And it gets me worked up.
Yeah.
But then I still struggle because I'm like, those earrings.
Those earrings.
Earrings.
That whole computer set. It was so, and it was at my house within like 2 days. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even compete with that? It's just, it's impossible. These guys offer a great service. Like,
it is.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, Amazon offers a great service.
There's a reason they're winning.
This is America. This is the free market. This is a capitalist country. But it's like, if you are the thing that we're trying to preach and trying to get our followers to look at and consider is to help the small business, to help the little guy, the guy that the establishment, corrupt crony politicians are fighting night and day against. Help that guy.
Yep.
This guy is fighting so many things. He's got the corporations. He's got the crony politicians. He's got the media. He's got everybody against him. Yep. And then when you add on to the fact that he or she has a certain value system or a certain belief system, they're going to come at that particular business or business, small business, 10 times harder.
Yep.
So that's when we have to come together and form a united front.
Exactly.
To support that guy, support that woman. That is.
We need to. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We need to hype up these businesses like drunk girls hype up each other in the bathroom, right?
Yes, like,
yes, queen. Like, you got this. I support you. Like, let's do this. You know, I'm gonna give you my last roll of toilet paper because it's for the greater good. Yeah. You need some lip gloss? You got it. Mm-hmm. It's really important that we do this. And there are challenges, I touched on it earlier. The farmer's market alone, like a certain vendor might not be there one day. I've run into that, they sell out of produce pretty quickly, or the cost of it, it is significantly higher.
Oh, yeah.
But I try to think of it, all the things that we already talked about, but for health benefits too. Like, I think that's one thing that people don't consider in their cost analysis. You know, a dear friend of mine said to me, it was like, well, that's a luxury that you're able to afford going to these farmers markets and buying that. And I can see that on one hand. I definitely can, because at one point, you know, I feel like there's no way that I could have done it. And so I'm not wealthy by any means, but I'm better off than I once was. And I do recognize that, you know, it would be harder for people, but even if it's like, we'll backtrack a little bit. The way I've been looking at, I can't afford not to, for health purposes alone.
Yeah.
And when I look at it, I'm actually consuming so much less food.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, and when I think of it, I'm like, okay, well, this ground beef is, I can't remember off the top of my head how much it was, but like $8 a pound, we'll say. That's a steep jump from the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
But then I think to myself, well, how much red meat do I actually need? Like, I don't need to overconsume that much beef. Like, and so I end up buying more produce. Yeah. So it's a health benefit. The health cost gets driven down. Yeah. And I actually end up spending. I do. Because I'm consuming less, I'm not spending. I still spend the same amount, but it balances out for me, right? So
interesting.
But then there's, you know, there's just back to that human connection and the values thing. Like the farm that I get milk from now, they pray over their milk. Yeah. And I didn't notice that at first, and then I was reading the back of their label, and I was like, "That's awesome!" Like that takes a lot of bravery to do. And I hadn't even talked about them with them about One Patriot. I haven't yet, but like.
For them to put that out there.
For them to put them out there as like, we stand on our values. Yes. We're going to pray over this milk, whether you believe it or not. It's fine. We're going to do it because that's what we believe in. And that's what I want to support. That's what I want to get excited about.
Yeah. And
spend my money on.
I think, you know, even if you aren't religious, I'm sure that they give good quality product. At the end of the day, that's what matters. Is the product good? They put their heart and soul into that milk, getting that milk. Obviously, they put their heart and soul into it because they prayed over it and they believe in it. And we should do our part and believe in them and support them.
100%. Yeah. And it's fun too to be able to, like, I follow them on social media, and I can see their daughter, you know, that like goes out and helps them with the farm every day, and I'm like, I'm supporting this, you know, family, you know, not to be like, oh, cool me, but like it's a good feeling.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good feeling. You know, that's another, you know, another one of the pillars of our organization is supporting family values. A business that it promotes that is, I will gladly pay $1 extra for milk or $1.50 extra for that milk if they are putting in and showing that this is okay to promote. This is what we stand by. This is our value system. This is our belief system. I'm going to be the first in line to support that company.
Exactly. You know what I've been seeing? I've been getting milk from them for quite a few weeks. Is people are coming back and getting so excited about it, and I love seeing that too. That stoke about it. I won't even get started on their eggs. I will a little bit. They're like, the yolk on these eggs is
they're like super bright,
orange, out of this world. Yeah, you cannot buy that at a grocery store.
Oh yeah.
So, definitely there. You know, another challenge too is, you know, not even the consumption part, but the patience part has been a struggle for me too. Like I just recently bought a pair of Birkenstocks. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to bleep that out.
Yeah.
But, and so I went like directly from them, you know, I think, I bought them for like their structure, not so much value there, but, I needed their products because I haven't been able to find anything local, right? That's another one of those examples. Like they have the support structure that helps my feet, right?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, if that's the last resort, by all means, go ahead. And if you need the product, if this product helps you in your everyday life and you need the product, go ahead and support the easier option. Yeah. If it's, you know, if the option to support the businesses that you would like to support is not available. Yeah. You know, so.
But to that point too, though, I was like, well, I'm going to order online again to that convenience thing, but they were the wrong size. Right. And so it's like a learning curve for me. Like, okay, if I would have taken the time to go find Birkenstocks at a local shop, right, I wouldn't have to wait like weeks on end. Because my first thought was like, oh, I could have bought these on Amazon and had them 2 days. It took like a week to come in. I could have had them in 2 days. It's going to take a week to get shipped back. It's like, oh, it just would have all been easier. But I'm like, would have been best if I just went to my local shoe store, which I'm sure carries these sandals because they're highly popular, and bought them there. I would have been able to know if they fit there, purchase them there, and supporting local business. So learning curves, right? But that's all we can do. Yep. Keep learning.
Keep growing.
Yep.
Well, I think that about wraps it up.
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us at another One Patriot podcast. We appreciate you guys joining us, and good day, good night. God bless you. God bless this country.
Have a good night.